Hello all. So first a big thanks to all of you for your constant encouragement for all my videos. Do post your comments so that I'll come to know what actually you want and how I can reciprocate. Okay. So today we will go about with spinal cord and nerves. In the last video I explained you about brain. Okay. The different structures that are present, their functions and all we have discussed. Today let us understand about what is spinal cord. Where is spinal cord? And so many of you might think backbone and spinal cord are one and the same. Is that true, or what is the real thing there? And also we will discuss about what are nerves. Okay. So spinal cord, what is spinal cord? Your brain will lead into a structure which is called the spinal cord. So the spinal cord actually is a fat thread-like structure. As you can see, from brain we have this fat thread-like structure running throughout the length of your body, and that is called the spinal cord. The spinal cord actually will be protected by the vertebral column outside. So vertebral column and spinal cord are not one and the same. Okay, vertebral column will be protecting your spinal cord. The backbone will be protecting your spinal cord, and spinal cord is a thread-like structure that will be present inside the vertebral column. From the spinal cord, you have all the spinal nerves which are coming out like that. So that is the actual structure of the spinal cord. It is not the vertebral column. It is present inside the vertebral column. It will be running throughout in between the vertebrae. Okay. Next coming to, so we know that spinal cord basically it plays a very important role in reflex action, and also its main role is it is a relay center. So whenever any stimulus has to be passed to the brain, first it will pass to the spinal cord. From spinal cord it will go to the brain. From brain the response that is generated will come to the spinal cord, and again it will come to the effector organ. So it is the relay center of your body. So that is about the spinal cord. Coming to the nerves, so nerves basically they constitute the nervous system. Nerves basically they constitute the peripheral nervous system, as we have discussed. So they are made up of bundles of axons. So when you talk about a nerve, what that nerve contains? Nerve actually contains the axon part. The nerve fibers all will be bundled together, and that would be called as the nerve. So nerve is nothing but it is a bundle of axons. Then coming to the nerve transmission, the rate at which the impulse is getting transmitted through myelinated nerves, the myelinated axons containing nerves. So the rate of transmission is found to be 100 meters per second. 100 meters per second, it will take the impulse to the brain, generate the response, and bring it back to the effector muscle. All that will happen very quickly. Okay, so that is what this rate of transmission reflects. So mostly the myelinated axons, okay, will have a highest rate of transmission compared to the unmyelinated axons. Okay, then in the case of reflex actions, we know that the impulse will be transmitted to only the spinal cord. The stimulus is getting transmitted only to the spinal cord, and response will be very quickly generated. So what is the time period here? It is just 30 to 50 milliseconds time period the response will be generated. Okay, and later on the impulse in the case of reflex actions will also go to the brain, and you will feel that you have sensed some pain or some pressure or whatever it has happened. You can sense it because of the brain, but the response of taking your hand out will happen in milliseconds, and that will happen with the help of the spinal cord. Okay, so there the rate of transmission is 30 to 50 milliseconds. Then next coming to the concept of what is called the synapse. So what is synapse? What is synapse? Already we have discussed. The point of contact between two neurons is what is called synapse. You can see the neuron 1 and neuron 2 here. So the contact that is there, as I have drawn here, that point of contact is what is called as synapse. So actually the axons, as you can see, the axons of one neuron, okay, will get attached, or they will be in connection with the dendrites of the second neuron. But okay, is that the axon and the dendrites are totally connected like that? Not at all. There will be some gap always between the dendrites of one neuron and the axon of other neuron. So these nerve terminals and the dendrites here, they have a gap in between. They are not fully connected. So that gap which is there is called the synaptic cleft. It is called the synaptic cleft. So the point of contact between two neurons is called synapse, and the gap that is there is called the synaptic cleft. So actually one neuron is not totally connected with the other neuron. There will be this gap called synaptic cleft, into which chemicals called as neurotransmitters will be released. What are the chemicals? Neurotransmitters will be released. So these neurotransmitters actually, when the neuron senses the stimulus, when it receives the stimulus through the receptors of the sense organs, what will happen? Some chemicals will be generated which will be passed all along the nerve fiber. They'll go to the nerve terminals or the synaptic knobs there. These chemicals will all be released in the synaptic cleft. And these chemicals will be picked up by another neuron. So the neurons are not in direct contact, but the chemicals will be passed from one neuron to another neuron, so that the impulse will get transmitted from one neuron to another neuron till it reaches brain, and also the response will be generated in the same pattern. So here the neurotransmitters what we have are acetylcholine, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine. Like this we have some of the chemicals names are there, which you can just keep in view, one or two as examples you can remember. So the point of contact between two neurons is called synapse. In the synaptic cleft, actually neurotransmitters get released, which will be helping in transmitting the electrical impulses from one neuron to another neuron. Then let us see the types of neurons. We have two types of neurons: the afferent or the sensory neuron, the efferent or the motor neuron. The afferent or the sensory neuron is the one which will take the stimulus to the brain. Suppose if my hand is there, I have pinched my hand like this. From here, the sensation has to go to brain. So the neurons which are taking the impulse to the brain, they are called the afferent neurons. And from brain, some response will be generated. I feel the pain there. That is the response of the brain. So I am feeling that pain because of the response which is generated by the brain, and that response will be carried to the muscle by motor neuron, which is also called the efferent neuron. So afferent neurons will carry the impulse to the brain, and efferent neurons will bring the impulse from the brain to the affected muscle, so that the response can be generated. So like this we have some information about the spinal cord and nerves which you have to remember.